I have a big old smile on my face because tonight I get to say this is video 31 of my set of 31 videos, which also means it's the last one that I need to do to complete the set and feel like I finished. If you were participating in an actual 30-day data-driven fasting challenge, then this is the image you would see posted in the group on the last day, Marty's thank you image. And I'm going to read off the top of the image that you can't see, and then I'll talk about the bottom of the image that you can see. So the top of the image says, "Thank you all so much for participating in the Data-Driven Fasting program. We have been thrilled with your results as you all put the data-driven fasting system into action. We've also learned heaps that will help us refine the system. Feel free to switch to maintenance mode," and he's referring to if you have the app and you're using the app, "feel free to switch to maintenance mode for a couple of weeks until we start the next round of DDF." Now, in reference to the app, I'm speaking to those who are not part of the paid 30-day challenge. So if you're not part of the paid 30-day challenge and you're just seeing this video kind of out of the blue and you haven't been watching all the other videos, I'm referencing an app that is used by people who are doing the data-driven fasting challenge, and anyone can use that app for free as a trial for 14 days, no credit card required. And the app is the way that people learn about their own personal glucose value that they can try to meet before they go ahead and take in more fuel. It's called a personal hunger trigger. And but the people who are paid the $37 paid 30-day challenge, they've been using the app for the whole 30 days. And people who sign up for longer than the 30 days, they continue to use the app. Some people, well, let me talk about what you can see at the bottom of your screen. So you can see that it's referencing to do another round of data-driven fasting is $37, but there's also an option to do for $74 to do data-driven fasting indefinitely for life if you want. So the app would always be at your disposal. You could use it, and you wouldn't just use it for the 14 days and then the trial expires, and you wouldn't just use it for the 30 days of one paid challenge for $37 and then it's expired. Some people do just one challenge and they learn everything they need to learn and they go on their merry way and they begin living according to observing their blood glucose numbers and are able to make changes. Some people want to stay in the data-driven fasting community because they want to learn more. They didn't learn enough just in the 30 days, or they want the support of the other people that are also doing the same thing. So there's a variety of approaches to this learning about data-driven fasting. I've been saying all along from the very first video of this set of 31 videos, that this process can be done for free if you are a self-motivated learner, because Marty Kendall, who created this, he runs optimizingnutrition.com. At his website, optimizingnutrition.com, everything is available for free except for these personal kind of 30-day challenges where you would get interaction each day. You'd get led each day with these individual daily messages. You'd have daily teaching pop up on the app to you, and you would have the lives on the weekend. For those in the States, every Saturday. For those who are ahead of us in the time zone, they're already on Sunday. But we meet once a week, starting the very first day, Saturday or Sunday of the challenge, going to the very last Saturday or Sunday of the challenge. It ends up being 5 Zoom meetings. And let me try to get my thoughts organized here. So this last day of the challenge would effectively be the last day for the group to meet on Zoom and say their goodbyes if they're going their own way or whatever. And that's perfectly fine. So that's probably all I need to share with you about the overview of what's going on here on this being the last day of the 30-day data-driven fasting challenge that I have been doing for myself. And I've been doing it a couple days ahead of the actual group that I'm in, because I'm hoping that as I put these videos up, trying to stay a couple days ahead of the group doing it, that someone in the group who feels like they don't fully understand things would have another resource. And I'm not sure that I've been helpful at all as another resource. I'm just muddling along, trying to figure out how to share through these videos. And anyway, I'm just trying to be useful. And I'm also trying to help the people I know who are Trim Healthy Mamas to learn how to combine their Trim Healthy Mama life with knowing what their glucose number is, because Trim Healthy Mama is really all about trying to have healthy blood glucose numbers. But how do you know you have healthy blood glucose numbers without testing? And so for me, it made perfect sense to put these two systems together. I found data-driven fasting back in 2018 when I was feeling really desperate about my menopausal weight gains, that my weight just kept creeping up, even though I was on Trim Healthy Mama. Once I started Trim Healthy Mama in 2013, and once menopause started, my body started changing because of menopause, and that was around 2016. From 2016 to 2018, I just felt like I was in a battle against my body and the bathroom scale. I'd gain a couple pounds and I'd lose a pound. I'd gain a couple pounds and I'd lose a pound, and just was back and forth, and I was starting to feel desperate. Thankfully, in 2018, that's when I found Marty's blog post, How to Use a Glucose Meter as Your Fuel Gauge. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So I'll wrap up that part of the video, just talking about data-driven. Well, no, I will share off from the data-driven fasting group that is currently going right now. They've got a couple more days before they finish up. And Marty he announced about an hour ago that there'll be the final data-driven fasting live Q&A tomorrow. And he's asking, what questions do you have? So he's kind of priming people to think about what questions you have. Maybe they'll write them in here, and he will capture some of those and share them in the live. But people also will be asking questions in the live. And I think this is a great one that somebody put up. So this would probably be perfect to share here in this video. This person asks, is it possible to have normal blood glucose readings but have high insulin levels? and how would you know? And they say that in New Zealand, fasting insulin blood tests are difficult to get, and are there any alternative tests? So they're curious, what's my insulin doing? Marty has one answer, and I have another answer to add to that. Marty says, it's possible, but unlikely. So possible to have normal blood glucose readings, but high insulin levels. So he says, that's possible, but unlikely. And then he says, as you chase a lower pre-meal trigger and lose weight, your basal insulin will drop further. And then he asks the person, what do your blood glucose number look like? And so basically he's saying, show me your screenshots from your app so I can see what your blood glucose numbers are doing. And so the person shares it, and I can see the dots in the chart where their numbers are. And then Marty answers the person after looking at the chart and says, looks like your insulin levels would be pretty low with those blood glucose numbers, but you can still be metabolically healthy and obese at the same time, which is good news for your general health because you're metabolically healthy is what he's saying, but not so much for your body weight. And then he adds, when you're insulin resistant, it's actually easier to release the stored energy, but when you're insulin sensitive, your body is better at holding onto it and storing fat. And I think most people think it's the other way around. They think that if they're insulin resistant, then all they're doing is gaining weight, that it's too easy for them to gain weight. So let me go back to his sentence. When you're insulin sensitive, your body is better at holding onto and storing fat. Chasing your trigger lower and dialing up protein percentage to increase satiety is still the solution. And so all through this 30 days, Marty's been kind of guiding people towards, you're going to have a better outcome if you work at increasing your protein percentage value in relationship to the other values of your food that you're eating. So we have protein, we have fats, and we have carbs. And he said it's important to get a good protein percentage in relationship to the fats and carbs. And you would do that by eating lean proteins, because if you eat fatty proteins, you're adding fats in. And to also make a point of getting in good nutrition. And you do that by focusing on leafy greens and non-starchy veggies, the vegetables that would not have a lot of carbohydrates in them, because carbohydrates are providing another fuel source to your body. So if you focus on lean protein, nutrients through leafy greens and non-starchy veggies, you're meeting your body's needs. So it's going to be content and happy, but you're not giving it a lot of fat or carbohydrates. And so then your body can begin to turn to its own stored energy, the fat that's been stored on its body, and you'll be happy because you'll be able to start taking off weight. So that's a great question, and I look forward to being on the live tomorrow and hearing the discussion on that topic. Now, I will add something to this question, because I'll add an answer to this question about, is it possible to have normal blood glucose readings but high insulin levels, and how would you know? The key that I want to answer is, how would you know your insulin levels? Well, one of the things that I've learned in the last 4.5 years is about insulin ratio. Insulin ratio is a reference to the ratio between your blood glucose levels and your blood ketone levels. So you can, if you know your blood glucose value and you know your blood ketone value, you can take those two numbers and do some easy math and get an insulin ratio. And that can indicate to you whether your insulin is high or at a healthy level or low. And if your insulin level is low, you are likely to be losing weight in the process. And your body's likely to be scavenging old proteins and cleaning and turning those back into a new source of amino acids and using them. It's called autophagy, or some people want to say autophagy. So you can know your insulin ratio and you can test that at home. Now you can mess up your test results if you're taking what is known as exogenous ketones, where you are using a ketone product and putting that into your body, or if you are using something like MCT oil, which will also raise your ketone values. But if you're not using any of those outside sources and your body is truly producing its own ketones because your carbohydrate level has fallen, and your body has dug in and is turning stored fat into fuel, your ketone value is going up. So that's an indication that you are able to access stored fuel and you're turning it into usable fuel and glucose. I will put a link in the description box to an explanation about that by a lady known as Dr. Boz. That is Dr. Annette Bosworth, and she's an internist. And I'll make a long story short. She is very pro keto, and I love this teaching that I'm going to share, that she explains about ketone values and about how to know when you're in the weight loss zone and above a certain ratio of glucose to ketones you have high insulin, and that is damaging to your body. You're doing damage inside your body when you have high insulin values. The thing is that I don't promote all of Dr. Boz's teaching because I don't go along with keto. I don't think that is helpful unless you have a medical necessity to be on a ketogenic diet. I think it's I don't promote it. I do promote a diet where you can eat all different kinds of foods, that include fats, carbs, proteins, but that you learn how to eat healthy and you learn how to manage your fats and carbs and your protein so that you can be healthy and you can be at a weight you want to be. And that teaching is available to you through Marty's free group, optimizingnutrition.com. I will put links to Marty's free group in my description box, and I encourage you to go check it out. So the Dr. Boz insulin information will be in the description box, and it is possible to know your insulin levels. I saw back when I was still kind of in the new stages of using Marty's teaching, and I'd lost the weight I wanted to lose, and I was very happy about all of that, and I was taking my glucose values and I was taking my ketone values. My husband and I went on a trip to Israel, and I indulged so much there. I was eating plates full of desserts when we were stopping for our meals at the hotels on this tour in Israel. And my insulin, my blood glucose actually stayed in healthy ranges because I'd gotten down to some really good healthy blood glucose numbers. But what I saw was how it affected my insulin ratio, and my insulin ratio started to go up and up and up. So that was fascinating to me, that my blood glucose numbers were healthy, but you take those divided by my ketones that I was producing, and it was indicating I was in high insulin ranges. I know it would be probably disputed by maybe a medical doctor saying, you can't know your insulin. Well, I disagree with that. I have been watching my insulin ratio for 4+ years. I have all of my data, and I can produce it if whatever. Maybe someday more people will know that they can test themselves. But I also want to say that it's not necessary at all to test both glucose and ketones. It's the most important thing to be testing and be aware of is your blood glucose values. You can tell by your waking blood glucose and your pre-meal blood glucose kind of how you're doing metabolically. And so you don't have to go to the expense of having a ketone meter, supplying yourself with ketone test strips, because those are on the expensive side, whereas blood glucose test strips can be very reasonable in price. I pay $200 a year for my Dario glucose meter, and I have unlimited test strips, absolutely unlimited test strips. When I'm helping friends to get started with testing their glucose, I don't suggest they pop $200 and get a year subscription to Dario right out of the gate, because that could end up being a waste of their money. It's only a good deal if they get into testing, they're comfortable with it, they know they want to continue with it, and they don't want to take the next cheaper option. And so what I usually point people to is to go to Walmart and get a Relion Premier glucose meter, and I will put up an image in this video so you can see what that looks like, just on the off chance you're watching this last video and haven't seen any of the other where I talk about it in the beginning. There's a meter kit there that costs $20, and it lets you test 50. It has 50 test strips in it, so you can do 50 blood tests. And when you need to buy more test strips, Relion Premier test strips are just 18 cents a piece. So that's where I send people to get started, is the $20 kit. Because usually after they've gone through those first 50 test strips, they know, am I going to buy more test strips? And certainly by the first month or two, you know whether you're going to keep doing this or not. And if you are, then get the Dario. And I will put a link in this description box for the Dario. You will not find it on your own for $200. I'm not an affiliate. I just have this old link that still is working for $200 to sign up for the annual subscription of unlimited test strips. So I encourage you to use my link that I provide to you. Again, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not getting anything for promoting Dario other than the satisfaction of helping somebody. As I indicated when I started this video, I am thrilled that I have reached video number 31, because I'm ready to be done with the obligation that I signed myself up for of making these videos, trying to help people understand how to use a glucose meter as a fuel gauge. Maybe it was hard for me to get this last week of videos done because I've been participating in a free experience with TrimHealthyMama coaching. I signed up for an offer to be part of a group coaching experience led by KJ York. Her TrimHealthyMama coaching business is Joyful Life with KJ, I believe. And she put out an offer in the TrimHealthyMama groups or in her videos or whatever, that she was going to provide 1 week of free group coaching so that people could experience what that is like to do with her. And I have been watching her her YouTube channel. I've been watching her Facebook lives that she does every single morning, cooking breakfast to start the day and talking to the viewers and whatnot. And her daily devotions. She reads the scripture and has been going through the chronological Bible. So I was just curious, well, what does this group coaching or the group experience feel like? So I signed up and I got to participate in 1 week of it, and it has been absolutely wonderful. For someone who, like me, who's been doing TrimHealthyMama since 2013, it was one of the most encouraging things I've ever experienced, because part of KJ's group coaching is that she puts people in Marco Polo groups, which is a asynchronous video messaging app. So she has these groups of women that can talk to each other about they can get ideas from each other, they can get encouragement from each other, they can ask questions, and it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, and her group coaching, obviously, it includes menus. Excuse me. I think her clients get weekly menus for ideas, and she also does a monthly live cooking class. So people can sign on to Zoom and they can cook along with her. She gives them the ingredients, and so they kind of know what they're going to be making together, and they can get prepared and they can cook live with her, or they can just watch. And so she provided one of those experiences too. And this live cooking experience happened yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And we did TrimHealthyMama compliant marshmallow Easter eggs. So I got to experience that too, and it was just great, absolutely great. I can't continue on with it, but I was investing time this past week communicating with the women in my group, sharing ideas, talking about the menu we were working on. Some of us were following the menu, some of us were picking things off of the menu and doing things out of order, but we were sharing our lives with one another, and I just can't say enough good things about it. And so my time of finishing these last videos for this last week was definitely compromised, because I was also investing time in fully participating and enjoying the live group coaching experience with KJ York of Joyful Life with KJ. And I admire what this woman is doing with her business, and I know that she is making, she's improving women's lives by creating these communities amongst themselves. And I just heard some great testimonials in the small little group that I was, well, it wasn't small. I think there were 70 of us in the group. Usually her groups, her Marco Polo groups are not that big. I think they're limited to about 16 people. But we had 60 plus people. And there were some great testimonials that came out of that. And like I said, even I, who have been doing TrimHealthyMama since 2013, I benefited from the experience. Probably one of the greatest kind of community experiences I've had with TrimHealthyMama in the whole time. I need to let KJ know that her group coaching was my best community, TrimHealthyMama community experience I've had since 2013. She needs to know that. I think that's enough for this last video. I'm relieved to be done with it. And as much as I think I don't want to do this again, I've already found myself thinking, how can I do it better? So who knows, maybe in one of the upcoming 30-day data-driven fasting challenges that Marty will be running, I'll be doing another set of 30 videos. Because I could see I have another set that I did earlier. Last year I did a set and that was 30 videos. And this time I made it 31 videos because I led out with an overview video. I won't do that again. So I look back on the first set of 30 and this set of 30, and there's good things about this set of 30 that I can say, yes, I did well, but there's better things about the first set of 30 that I did. It's like, how do I blend the two together? I gotta, the wheels have to turn and I have to figure that out. But I am relieved that this is the last video and I get to say goodnight now, and I get to say thank you for watching my videos.